I'm the Reverend Tom Rossiello, minister of this fellowship, and it's wonderful to be together again in this, our sacred time and place. You know, Unitarian Universalists do not have a lot of ritual in their services, but one practice in which we and almost all Unitarian Universalist congregations engage in every week is the lighting of our chalice. This coming together with our focus on a single flame reminds us that our faith tradition is a light to our community and to our world. And that light shines not just from a candle on Sunday morning, but from all of us. Our history reminds us that our calling is to be that light and to bring that light to others. And from the Gospel of Matthew, no one lights a lamp and then puts it under a bushel basket. It's set on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, your light must shine.
Del Evangelio según Mateo, nadie enciende una lámpara para taparla con un cajón. La ponen más bien sobre un candelero y alumbra a todos los que están en la casa. Hagan pues que brille su luz.
And from the founder of Universalism, John Murray, you may possess only a small light, but uncover it, let it shine, use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of all people.
Y de uno de los fundadores del universalismo, John Murray, pueden poseer solo una pequeña luz, pero descúbranla, déjanla brillar. Utilícenla para traer más luz y comprensión a los corazones y mentes de todas las personas. Y ahora levantémonos en cuerpo y o en espíritu a cantar junto nuestro himno de apertura. Let's rise in body and our spirit to sing our opening hymn, Mi Pequeñita Luz, This Little Light of Mine. You can find the music in the hymnal, but we'll be singing the Spanish words, which will be on the screen.
Good morning. Oh, you may be seated. Good morning and welcome to the Sunday morning service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. My name is Lee Knox. I'm a member of the Sunday Service Committee and the board, and I will be the service leader today. We are located on the lands of the Chichimeca, Otomi, and Nahua peoples, and are making community by Zoom across Mexico, Canada, and the United States. We welcome all of you joining us today, wherever you are. Whatever your religious background or lack thereof, and whoever you love, you can bring your whole self here. After the service, those on Zoom are invited to stay connected and visit with others for discussion of today's service. Those who are with us here at the Aldea can join us for coffee and cookies downstairs outside. If we have any visitors here today, would you please stand so we can see who you are? We'll be able to personally welcome you at coffee hour. Any visitors? Don't be shy. We do record our Sunday services, and we expect to have this one available on our website in a few days. If you want to watch this or any other previous service, you can go to our website, which is UUFSMA.org, and click on Previous Services. And while you're on our website, you can check out the various events sponsored by our fellowship, and you can find information on how you can become a member. Tom?
It's a true joy for me to welcome my friend and colleague, the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano, back to San Miguel and back to our pulpit. You've already this morning witnessed two of his extraordinary gifts that he brings to us, his fluency in Spanish, having grown up as a multilingual child in Argentina and Peru, and his amazing singing voice, and you'll hear more of that to come. Like many of us Unitarian Universalist ministers, Craig had a successful life before entering the ministry, but his was probably a bit more exciting and exotic than most of ours. After graduating from Yale, where he perfected his music talents by singing with the famous Whiffenpoofs, he had his big break on Broadway, singing more than 700 performances as the revolutionary young lover Marius in Les Miserables. He went on to sing other important Broadway roles as well as concert tours around the world. Then his life shifted, and he returned to his academic interests. And after graduating from Princeton Theological School and being ordained a Unitarian Universalist minister, Craig was called to be the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Monmouth County in New Jersey. When Craig was last here in November, you may remember, we introduced him to one of our NGOs, Libros para Todos, and he brought the information he learned about them back to his congregation. Of course, they were excited about helping us with the wonderful social justice projects we do, and lots of folks in his congregation got involved and raised money, and even the kids in the religious education program got involved, and he's going to tell you about that a little later. Craig's congregation is our flagship congregation, really, and an exciting program to augment how we support social justice in this community of San Miguel. We're using their example with other ministers to bring this type of program to other congregations. We already have two others working to raise money and connect with Libros para Todos, and we're looking forward to finding other ministers and congregations to help with other social justice organizations that this UU Fellowship supports. We can do so much more for social justice when we invite other UU congregations in the US and Canada and even elsewhere to join us in our efforts. And Craig, it's great to have you back with us.
Oh, well, muy buenos días, sí. Les traigo saludos de la Congregación Unitaria Universalista del Condado Monmouth de Nueva Jersey. Me da mucho gusto estar con ustedes esta mañana. I bring you warm greetings from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Monmouth County. It's a mouthful in any language, right? In New Jersey. I'm grateful, really, to have this time together with you, and great to see some familiar faces that I got to meet in November. I hope this relationship continues.
And now I invite you all to rise as you are willing and able and join together, in reciting this fellowship's covenant, first in English and then with Reverend Rubano leading us in Spanish. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Please be seated. We now enter into a time in our service when we share significant joys, sorrows, and concerns with our members and friends. We do that so that we might be there to support, affirm, and comfort each other. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern that you'd like shared in an upcoming service, please email it to me. And if you are on Zoom now, you can type it into the chat at any time. It's written in the Talmud that when we share a joy, the happiness is doubled. And when we share a sorrow, the pain is cut in half. May that be true for us this morning. For each joy, sorrow, or concern we share, Lee will light a candle as a symbol that that prayer, that thought, or that person is held in all of our hearts this morning. Our first candle is for Donna Sherbrooke, and it's a great joy to see her from her hospital bed with her neck brace on, joining us on Zoom this morning. She's recovering from surgery on a cancerous tumor in her spine and getting treatment in Connecticut, and we send her all our love and prayers and healing thoughts. I just received this before the service, so we're going to light a candle for Robin Loving, who I understand broke her arm. So I don't have any more info now, but we'll send her our well wishes as well. We light a candle for Kathy Murphy, who continues to recover from hip replacement surgery, and I understand has gone from a walker to a cane and now moving around at the home even without that. And she'll be continuing in some physical therapy, so we wish her well with that. And also, I see Judy Rosenthal is joining us on Zoom again, so we give her further words of encouragement in her treatment and recovery. Several people asked for a candle for the folks who travel at this time of year. We wish them a safe journey, a wonderful time away from San Miguel, and a safe return back. And we do each week, we light our blue and yellow candle for all those who have lost their lives, lost their homes, lost their loved ones as a result of the unprovoked and unjust war in the Ukraine. And now Susan is going to share some joys and concerns that people filled out on cards earlier this morning.
Hey, good morning. So when you come in future Sundays, if you have something on your mind right at the last minute, hopefully we'll be out there with a card that you can write it down, and we'll be happy to share it. We have a joy from Phyllis and Kim, who are thrilled to let everybody know who may not know yet that they have found their new home in El Capricho, and they'll be moving in the month of May, so they're real happy about that find. And Michael Murphy's here today with Robert and our long-lost friend Robert. He's in a great assisted living in town with Sophie Cares. Really likes it there, and he looks great today, so say hi to him when you can. We have a concern from someone who's visiting, I believe, a concern about our seeming inability, which I think we all share, to get assault weapons banned and to have common sense gun laws after the week and a half we've all seen happen. And finally, from the cards, a concern from Cynthia Sterling. She'd like to ask for prayers for her sister Dulcie, who's become totally blind and is not getting the proper medical care due to her age. We can all identify. So prayers for her.
And from chat, we have one more. It's from Susan Newbeck, and she wants us all, and I'm sure we all want to wish Kirsten a happy birthday. It's her birthday today, so we send out birthday wishes to Kirsten. Let us light a final candle for all the joys, sorrows, and concerns held in our hearts, but which remain unspoken this morning. When we hold people in our thoughts and prayers, as we do now, we hold them in love. Selfless love is our gift to each other. To give support, to bring joy and happiness to others is to love. Sometimes we fall short in our love. So many things get in the way of love: ego, power, anger, entitlement, self-righteousness, judgment of others. As we now listen in meditation to this beautiful song about love that Craig will sing for us, let us recommit to love one another.
I share with you a traditional Mexican song that is found in the Spanish language UU hymnal, Las Voces del Camino. I don't know, maybe some of you don't know there is one, but the voices of the road, or the voices along the way. The song is Amar es entregarse, to love is to surrender. And the idea in the song is that the spiritual practice of becoming part of something larger than oneself can be entered into by giving. That sharing with others is the essence of what it is to love. The English translation will be on the slide, and prepare your hearts for meditation. Amar es entregarse, olvidándose de sí, buscando lo que al otro pueda hacerle feliz, buscando lo que al otro puede hacerle feliz. Qué lindo es vivir para amar, qué bueno es tener para dar alegría, felicidad, darse uno mismo, eso es amar, dar alegría, felicidad, darse uno mismo, eso es amar, amar como a sí mismo, entregarse a los demás, así no habrá egoísmo que no pueda superar, así no habrá egoísmo que no pueda superar. Qué lindo es vivir para amar, qué grande es tener para dar alegría, felicidad, darse uno mismo, eso es amar, dar alegría, felicidad, darse uno mismo, eso es amar.
Again this morning, we are offering you the opportunity to light a candle in silence. It might be a personal way to remember someone, or to witness and honor a personal struggle, to add significance to a silent prayer that you hold in your heart this morning, or just to light your own candle of hope and healing for the world. As we continue in a time of reflection guided by music, those who would like to are invited forward to light a candle in silence.
This morning I celebrate the resistance and opportunity that reading offers. Resistance to poverty, to inequitable living and working conditions, to widespread racism and other oppressions, particularly these days, at least in the United States, oppression of those of all affectional and sexual orientations and a wide range of gender identities. When we read, when we have access to literacy, we resist all that would oppress us, and we are given an opportunity to write new chapters for ourselves in our lives. As a short reading, I offer a poem from English author and former children's laureate Julia Donaldson. She knows very well the power of opening a book. I opened a book, and in I strode. Now, nobody can find me. I've left my chair, my house, my road, my town, and my world behind me. I'm wearing the cloak. I've slipped on the ring. I've swallowed the magic potion. I've fought with a dragon, dined with a king, and dived in a bottomless ocean. I opened a book and made some friends. I shared their tears and laughter and followed their road with its bumps and bends to the happily ever after. I finished my book and out I came. The cloak can no longer hide me. My chair and my house are just the same, but I have a book inside me. When I was with you in November, Reverend Tom arranged the pleasure of my having lunch with Daniela Franco, who, as many of you will know, spearheads the Guanajuato province branch of Libros para Todos. Its mission of inspiring literacy in children from low-income families and rural communities where access to books is limited touched my heart. Reverend Tom suggested I create a link between my congregation in New Jersey, the UU congregation of Monmouth County, UUCMC, and Libros, and in doing so, creating a link with you here at the fellowship, you who have so steadfastly made it a part of your ministry to support the efforts of Libros. When I returned to New Jersey, I presented the idea to my religious educator, Michelle Mackenzie Creech, and she was thrilled to participate. She and I designed bookmarks that you can see on the screen with bilingual slogans. Lánzate a la lectura, jump into reading. Un libro es un puente, a book is a bridge. Leer es soñar, to read is to dream. And leer es viajar, reading is traveling. The kids in our family ministry program colored in the bookmarks and learned about Libros and about your work here in San Miguel. With Daniela's help, I created a UUCMC Supports Libros para Todos global giving page where, including the whole offering plate from this past Sunday service, we raised $2,650 for Libros. Now, in addition, we created a bilingual video presentation of the children's book, Waiting for the Biblioburro, Esperando el Biblioburro. It's inspired by the heroic efforts of real-life librarian Luis Soriano, who traveled with a burro mobile library over mountains and valleys to bring literacy and culture to rural Colombia and the children who wait for the Biblioburro. We share our efforts with you now.
UUCMC presents
Esperando el Biblioburro.
Waiting for the Biblioburro.
En una colina, detrás de un árbol hay una casa. En la casa hay una cama y en la cama hay una niña llamada Ana, durmiendo profundamente y soñando sobre el mundo fuera de su casa más allá de la colina. Cuando Ana se despierta con el kikiriki del gallo, papi ya está trabajando en la granja y mami está ocupada en el jardín. Ana le da de comer a las cabras y recoge los huevos para vender en el mercado.
On a hill behind a tree there is a house. In the house there is a bed. On the bed there is a little girl named Anna, fast asleep, dreaming about the world outside and beyond the hill. When Anna wakes up to the rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo, Poppy is already at work on the farm and Mommy is busy in the garden. Anna feeds the goats and collects the eggs to sell at the market.
Después del desayuno, Ana y su madre bajan de la colina. Ana cierra los ojos frente al sol y desea estar en el fresco de su casa con su libro. Ana ha leído su libro, su único libro, tantas veces que lo sabe de memoria. El libro fue un regalo de su maestra por haberse esforzado tanto en sus tareas de lectura y escritura. Pero el otoño pasado, su maestra se mudó lejos y ahora no hay quien pueda enseñar a Ana y el resto de los niños de su pueblo.
After breakfast, Anna and her mother walk down the hill. Anna closes her eyes against the sun and wishes that she was back in the cool of the house with her book. Anna has read her book, her only book, so many times she knows it by heart. The book was a gift from her teacher for working so hard on her reading and writing. But last fall, her teacher moved far away. and there is no one to teach Anna and the other children in the village.
Por eso, de noche, en su cama, Ana inventa sus propios cuentos y se los narra a su hermanito. Historias sobre criaturas que viven en el bosque, en las montañas y en el mar.
So at night on her bed, Anna makes up her own stories and tells them to her little brother. Stories about make-believe creatures that live in the forest, and the mountains and the sea.
Una mañana, Ana se despierta con el sonido de taca-tac, taca-tac, y cuando mira hacia debajo de la colina, ve un hombre con un letrero que dice biblioburro. El hombre tiene 2 burros. ¿Qué traen? Libros.
One morning, Anna wakes up to the sound, clip, clop, and when she looks down the hill, she sees a man with a sign that reads Biblio Burro. With the man, there are 2 burros. What are they carrying, books?
Ana corre hacia el hombre. Otros niños también corren hacia él. ¿Quién es usted?, preguntan los niños. Soy un bibliotecario y estos son mis burros. Bienvenidos al biblioburro, mi biblioteca.
Anna runs to the man. Other children run to him too. Who are you? The children ask. I'm a librarian, and these are my burros. Welcome to the Biblioburro, my biblioteca, my library.
Luego saca sus libros e invita a los niños a acompañarlo bajo un árbol. Había una vez, comienza el bibliotecario, contando la historia de un elefante que se balancea de una telaraña.
Then he spreads out his books and invites the children to join him under a tree. Once upon a time, the librarian begins, sharing the story of an elephant who swings from a spider's web.
Canta A, B, C, D, E, F, G y ayuda a los pequeños a aprender el abecedario. Y al fin dice, elijan libros y en unas semanas regresaré y a traerles otros. ¿Yo también?, pregunta Ana. Especialmente tú, dice el bibliotecario con una sonrisa.
He sings A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and helps the little ones learn their alphabet. Finally, he says, pick out books, and in a few weeks, I will be back to collect them and bring new ones. Me too, asks Anna. Especially you, the librarian says with a smile.
Tantos cuentos, delfines rosados, mariposas azules, castillos y hadas, leones que hablan y alfombras mágicas. Alguien debería escribir una historia sobre sus burros, le dice Ana al bibliotecario. ¿Por qué no lo haces tú?, pregunta él. Y comienza su camino.
So many stories, pink dolphins and blue butterflies, castles and fairies, talking lions and magic carpets. Someone should write a story about your burros, Anna tells the librarian. Why don't you, he asks, and then he is off.
Ana sube la colina corriendo hacia su casa. Tiene muchas ganas de compartir los libros con su hermano. Cada mañana, Ana hace sus tareas, lee y mira por la ventana. Espera por los sonidos de los burros, pero las semanas pasan y el bibliotecario no regresa.
Anna runs up the hill to her house. She can't wait to share the books with her brother. Each morning, Anna does her chores and reads and looks out the window. She listens for the sounds of the burros, but weeks pass and the librarian doesn't return.
Una noche, Ana sueña que está volando sobre su país en la espalda de una mariposa, trayendo historias a doquiera que va. Las historias salen de su boca y de sus dedos como magia, cayendo a las manos de los niños que les esperan debajo. Extraña al biblioburro y recuerda que el bibliotecario le dijo que podía escribir un libro. Entonces toma papel hilo y lápices de colores y lo hace.
One night, Anna dreams she is flying over her country on a butterfly's back, bringing stories everywhere she goes. Stories fly from her mouth and fingers like magic, falling into the hands of the children waiting below. She misses the biblioburo, and she remembers that the librarian had told her she could write a book, so with paper and string and color pencils, she does.
Finalmente, cuando Ana piensa que nunca va a volver a ver al biblioburro, se despierta con el tac-tac, tac-tac. Baja la colina corriendo con los libros prestados y su propia sorpresa. Escribí este cuento para usted, dice. ¡Qué bueno!, contesta el bibliotecario. Y lee la historia de Ana a los niños, debajo del árbol.
Finally, just when Anna thinks she'll never see the Bilbro again, she wakes up to the clip-clop, clip-clop. She runs down the hill with her library books and a special surprise. I wrote this story for you, she says. Wonderful, the librarian says, and then he reads her story to the children under the tree.
A la hora de partir, el bibliotecario guarda cuidadosamente el libro de Ana sobre el lomo del burro, que está pronto para llevarlo sobre las colinas a otro niño que está durmiendo en una cama, en una casa, en una colina detrás de un árbol, soñando con los burros y todas las historias nuevas que traerá el biblioburro.
When it's time to go, Anna's book is packed carefully on the burro's back, ready to be carried away over the hills to another child who is asleep on a bed, in a house, on a hill, behind a tree, dreaming of the burrows and all the new stories the biblio-burro will bring.
Thank you to all who participated in this bilingual telling of Waiting for the Biblio-burro.
It was great to involve the kids. They had a lot of fun putting this together, so it was fun to share it with you. July was always the month when my family went back from Argentina to the United States to visit family and friends. And of course, this was before online shopping, so in July I knew two things. I would be a block away from the public library at my grandparents' house in South St. Louis, and I would be in for one of my greatest pleasures in life, visiting bookstores. Of course, I'd have to take back in my luggage what I would buy, so it was always paperbacks, but I would usually end up with 10 or so books as my new treasure trove. Reading ran in my family, with my earliest memories of both of my grandmothers with books in their hands. My Italian grandmother tended toward the romance novel aisle, while my Scottish one delighted in historical novels, especially those involving royalty. But pretty much, if there was a book sitting around, they'd read it. Later in my maternal grandmother's life, I remember her telling a story that as she left the library on her weekly trip, a pile of books carried in her arms in front of her, she overheard one of the elderly denizens of the library lounge mutter to another, supposedly quietly, "She comes in every week and leaves with a huge pile in her arms. You know she doesn't read any of those books." My grandmother loved that story. My parents are both teachers at heart, and their careers were in elementary and secondary schools, with my father specializing in school administration, my mother in reading instruction. It was their dream that my sister and I would have the best education at our disposal, and that our lives would be exposed to a variety of views and influences. So having been on one plane ride each at the time, they made the decision to take us at very young ages and move us 8,000 miles away from St. Louis to center our lives in international multilingual settings in South America. There, every interaction we had was as educational as the materials we studied in the excellent schools we attended with kids from over 40 countries. Looking back, I find it quite astonishing what they did. a 15-year-long adventure that literally changed the courses of all of our lives. But they knew the power of education, of reading, of being exposed to a wide diversity of people and cultures. At the heart of their educational mission was the idea that reading is opportunity, that it opens up worlds, that it provides resistance to the cultural power of sameness that so many communities unconsciously enforce. Or to be frank, in these heady, politically mad days, at least in the United States, the power of sameness that communities consciously patrol with an insidious rise in book banning. In the 21-22 school year in the U.S., 2,571 unique book titles were targeted for censorship, up 38% from the 1,858 of the previous year, itself a huge increase from the prior one. New figures will be released during National Library Week beginning today, but it is clear that political forces are opposing books on school library shelves, ostensibly for the harm the titles might cause. PEN America, PEN, poets, playwrights, editors, essayists, novelists, reports that while many Americans conceive of challenges to books in school in terms of reactive parents or those simply concerned after thumbing through a paper bag in their child's knapsack or hearing a surprising question about a novel raised by the child at the dinner table, the large majority of book bans underway today are not spontaneous, organic expressions of citizen concern. Rather, they reflect the work of a growing number of advocacy organizations that have made demanding censorship of certain books and ideas in schools part of their mission. These political groups share lists of the books across the country. You can see the same misspellings in the demands of the supposedly spontaneously concerned parents. Many individuals lodging complaints against school library holdings are demonstrably without school-aged children. They swarm school board meetings, demand exhaustive rating systems for libraries, and use inflammatory language about grooming and pornography. Why would these political right-wing groups be opposed to children reading books? Well, 41% of the banned books explicitly address LGBTQ+ themes or have primary or secondary characters who are LGBTQ+ identified, 41%. Another 40% contain protagonists or prominent secondary characters of color. The remaining books have supposed sexual content, which can mean pregnancy or relationships, have themes related to civil rights activism, or depict religious minorities such as Jewish, Muslim, and other faith traditions. In the U.S., reading a book these days is an act of resistance to ideological warfare. Reading opens up opportunity to see beyond the narrow lenses through which these politicized groups seek to confine one's learning, to restrict one's aspirations. Of course, given the diversity, ethnic, racial, gender, sexual orientation that already exists and is growing in schools across the country, students need to be reading more expansively rather than reductively. Political action groups and allied parents are attempting to police minds, a minority constituency curtailing the rights of all students to access important depictions of life as it exists, not as it might in some kind of controlled dystopian empire. Why is reading so threatening? Well, because reading is so powerfully formative of people's minds. Because in addition to strengthening brain connectivity, building vocabulary, reducing stress, alleviating depression, in addition to preventing cognitive decline, lengthening lifespan, reading increases empathy. Reading allows people better to understand the feelings and beliefs of others. Reading gives us skills essential to building and maintaining social relationships. When we read, we create worlds in our minds, worlds we may otherwise not have any access to knowing about or comprehending. The transformative power of reading opens opportunities otherwise unimaginable to people who may not have the access to the experiences of others different from themselves. Reading has the power to change our mindsets and perspectives and to spark inspiration for new adventures and projects that build beloved community. Reading acts as a kind of mentor to us, coaching us through conflicts, fears, taking us out of our ignorance, providing us with goals we can set our minds on attaining. In 2012, blogger Anne Morgan set off on a quest to read a book from every country in the world. And so she reached out and asked the world to assist her. And what followed literally changed her life and that of countless others. She was deluged not only with suggestions, but with individuals appealing to be her guide to their countries. Morgan says she realized something extraordinary was happening. Sharing a love of reading not only had the power to kick off discussions, it could make things happen. It could prompt strangers into acts of kindness. It could forge lasting friendships. And it could connect people across space, time, and political, religious, and cultural divides. She reflects on the ability of stories and storytelling to bring out the best in us and to create connections among people who otherwise might have little in common. She writes, under the right conditions, stories have the power to shape us. They let us imagine our way into being different, more generous, more large-minded people. This goes some way to explain the bond that often seems to exist between strangers who have read the same book. They have met in the author's head. And however temporarily and marginally, they have been made more like each other as a result. Now, I'm a book lover. My house is filled with books, thousands of books on nearly every wall of every room, and then some. When I was working as an actor and singer, I did an interview in which I said that I sing to make money to buy books. So when I learned about Libros para Todos, which since 2013 has provided over 5,000 young people in the 4th to 6th grades with the pleasures and life-opening opportunities of reading, sponsoring 3 common read experiences a year, each for a few hundred kids in tremendously underserved areas with no libraries nor bookstores, providing them with what for many is their very first personally owned book, well, it caught my attention. Libros provides lesson plans and workshops for the kids' teachers to assist them in teaching the text, and then brings the book's authors to the kids to discuss what they've read. Sponsoring summer camps and seminars throughout the years, promoting literacy and group discussions of timely and empowering books for young people. And Libros does still more. On Wednesday morning this week, I had the powerful experience of accompanying the volunteers to the elementary school in Palo Colorado, the community adjacent to the dump for the region. There we read to young kids, teaching them the alphabet, challenging them to create words, associations, and drawings that reflected their own experience of having heard stories of others different from themselves. Later that day, we traveled in the opposite direction from San Miguel to Alonso Yañenza, to a remote and underused community center where a large room is being turned into a library for the village. We delivered a bookcase and filled it with books, and a gorgeous mural was worked on, all of us adding to the work of painting a thing of beauty that will accompany the expansion of reading skills for children and in turn for the adults in their lives. In the process of the morning, we created community among volunteers, eating lunch together with tortas cooked for us at a local almacén by two ladies in the heat of the day. The same kinds of opportunities revealed by supplying a child with a book and the means to discuss it are opened up by working together for a common cause. I'm proud of having made a connection between my congregation and an international NGO like Libros para Todos, and with the work that this fellowship does to support Libros and so many other worthy groups. And all those opportunities constitute acts of resistance to the oppressive forces that deprive many of access to sources of knowledge and to life-widening experiences, opportunities that constitute resistance to the silencing of vital voices. Reading together is truly a revolutionary act, bringing stories to life in the face of powerful forces of censorship and ignorance. I'm going to give the last word to 100-year-old Grace Lynn, who recently addressed a school board meeting in Martin County, Florida, demanding the return of 80 titles that had been removed from circulation. She brought along the quilt she had made at the age of 99, featuring the covers of banned and challenged books. For as she explained in an interview, every human being is just as important as any other. Here is some of her testimony. I am Grace Lynn. I'm here to protest our school's district's book banning policy. My husband was killed in action in World War II at a very young age, defending our democracy, constitution, and freedoms. One of the freedoms the Nazis crushed was the freedom to read the books they banned. The freedom to read is an essential right and duty. Even so, it is continually under attack by both public and private groups who think they hold the truth. Banning books and burning books are the same. Both are done for the same reason: fear of knowledge. Fear is not freedom. Fear is not liberty. Fear is control. My husband died as a father of freedom. I am a mother of liberty. Banned books need to be displayed proudly and protected from school boards like this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Grace Lynn. And thank you, Daniela Franco, and all of you who support and help Libros and other educational organizations in this area and beyond. I'm thrilled to be in relationship with you all, and I pray it continues. May we always be a people who find and give opportunities for stories to be shared. Doing so constitutes important acts of resistance in cultures that would literally erase the voices and stories of beloved persons of worth and dignity. May it be so, and amen. And now I invite us to rise in body and or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 134 in the gray hymnals, Our World is One World, and indeed it is. So
may be seated. For 35 years, our fellowship has been helping nonprofit organizations that provide health, educational, and environmental services for underserved communities in the San Miguel region. We intend to continue helping these organizations, even if we do it in a different way in the future. Your contributions will help with these intentions, as well as help us with all that we do. The offering for the work of our fellowship will now be collected and most gratefully received.
Thank you for being with us this morning, here in this room or with us on Zoom. We're thrilled that you've joined us for this service, and we hope you will again next week. Please join us after the service to continue in community, either on Zoom or outside in the courtyard here at the Aldea. In this community, things don't just happen on Sunday morning, so be sure to check out what other opportunities for in-person or on Zoom encounters that might interest you are available. Check our website. A very special thanks to my dear friend and colleague, Craig, for once again sharing a wonderful message with us and also for bringing much needed and very generous support for one of the NGOs that we love. Please bring back our profound thanks, the thanks of this congregation, to both the adults and especially to the children in your congregation who participated in this project. And we hope you'll come back again soon. Yes. The word benediction really means good words. And I know, Craig, that you have some good words to share with us to conclude our service.
Yes, our closing words of benediction, "There is a land," comes to us from Dr. Leland Jacobs, who in his 22 years on the faculty of Teachers College, Columbia University, advocated for and developed literature as a major part of early education. Knowing then what we now all know to be true, reading can be a major part of development over the entire life cycle. There is a land, a marvelous land, where trolls and giants dwell, where witches with their bitter brew can cast a magic spell, where mermaids sing, where carpets fly, where in the midst of night brownies dance to cricket tunes, and ghosts all shivery and white prowl and moan. There is a land of magic folks and deeds, and anyone can visit there who reads and reads and reads.
We now extinguish the flame that we together kindled in our opening ritual, but not the light. And though it may only be a small light that we possess, it burns within us, and we carry it forth to share with others.